To get under the skin of the insufferable Hawthorn triplets. I made a point of saying it loud and clear at the family dinner. So, have the three of you decided? Which one is going to be the lucky groom in this arranged marriage? They practically shoved each other away. Disgust written plainly on their handsome faces. I was about to randomly point and choose, when a little girl suddenly appeared at my side. She claimed to be from 8 years in the future. Mommy, I finally found you. She threw herself into my arms. Then looked up at the Hawthorn brothers. Daddy, you're here, too. You really, really love Mommy. Don't you? You follow her everywhere. No wonder when she said she didn't want you anymore, you had to go find a rooftop to cool down. Wait a second. The little girl's eyes went wide. How do I have 3 daddies? The entire room fell into a dead silence. After what felt like an eternity, the eldest triplet, Arthur Hawthorn, was the first to react. What nonsense are you talking about, kid? He then shot me a cold look. I get it, Stella. This is another one of your little ploys, isn't it? You hired an actress. Before I could argue, the little girl in my arms puffed out her cheeks in anger. Daddy, are you trying to make Mommy mad? Candy won't help you get back in her good graces this time. Who's your daddy? All 3 of them snapped in unison. Well, it's either you or him. Or him, the little girl said, pointing a chubby finger at each of the triplets in turn. When Daddy stands with his brothers, Candy gets confused. You must remember your father's name, Arthur pressed. I only know his last name is Hawthorn. You don't even know his first name. And you expect us to believe this isn't an act? The little girl got flustered. It's because he always calls himself Mommy's good little puppy. I took a sip of water and nearly choked. Was that something you could just say out loud? The Hawthorn brothers' faces were a thunderous shade of black. Normally no one would believe such a ridiculous story. Except the little girl's features were a perfect miniature version of theirs, down to the sharp jawline and the intense eyes. If you looked closely, you could even see a faint resemblance to Mr. and Mrs. Hawthorn. The little girl. Candy tugged on my sleeve. Mommy, which one is my daddy? How should I know? My brain was about to short circuit. That was a question far beyond my pay grade. Oh, right. I remember now. Candy clapped her hands. At this time, Mommy and Daddy's relationship was still really bad. Her voice dropped to a conspiratorial whisper. It was because my auntie was bullying Mommy, and Daddy helped her do it. He regretted it for a long time afterward. It was like she was dropping a series of bombs. The room fell silent once again. My stepsister Luna immediately panicked. Little girl, you shouldn't tell lies. I'm not lying, Candy said matter-of-factly. My mommy is allergic to shellfish. But you always sneak seafood sauce into her dipping bowl. As she spoke, I glanced down at the small bowl in front of me. The one Luna had just brought over. My father had even praised her for it. Luna, even though you're not our biological daughter, you're more thoughtful than one. She's so kind, always helping her sister adjust. Stella, you should learn from her. Candy picked up the bowl and trotted over to my father. Robert Shaw. Grandpa. You can taste it if you don't believe me. Robert was still in a state of shock. But before he could respond, Candy spun around and called out to the family chef. Never mind, let's ask Angus. Grandpa Angus, can you smell this? Is there seafood sauce in here? Angus had been our family chef for nearly a decade. He took one sniff and nodded decisively. Yes, there is. It's the new brand of oyster sauce I just bought. That's the smell. In an instant, every eye in the room swiveled to Luna. Her face was pale with panic. I just forgot my sister was allergic. I swear it wasn't on purpose. Her eyes welled up with tears. Arthur's brow furrowed with concern for her. I believe Luna. She's not that kind of person. I believe her, too. We've known her since she was a little girl. The second brother, Julian, chimed in. The youngest, Wyatt, followed suit. Are you all really going to believe some random kid who appeared out of nowhere? The 3 of them stood up, ready to escort the now sobbing Luna from the room. As he left, Wyatt shot me a look and drew a finger across his throat. Message was clear. If he found out this was a stunt I'd orchestrated, I would pay. But honestly, I was more curious than they were. Who is this kid? Because I couldn't stand a single one of the Hawthorn brothers. The Hawthorn triplets despised me. Because for the first 23 years of my life, I had lived on a ranch out west, surrounded by horses. I had only been found and brought back to my biological family 3 months ago. I still remember the day I returned in front of everyone. Luna had asked me with a saccharine sweetness, "Sister, I've been in your place for so long. I hope you don't mind," I said. "I do." Luna, clearly not expecting my bluntness, burst into tears. The triplets immediately rushed to comfort her. And that's when their animosity toward me began. But I was only telling the truth. Luna was adopted from an orphanage, simply because she bore a slight resemblance to me. By then, I'd been missing for 3 years. To soothe their grief, my parents adopted her and let her take my place. Her name, Luna, meant blooming a new life for them. She was obedient and sweet. But whenever my parents started making plans to search for me again, Luna would conveniently come down with a fever or a headache, tying them down. Over time, the search for me was forgotten. She had lived comfortably as their only daughter for years. Now that I was back, it was time for a reality check. She needed to understand whose life she'd been borrowing. As for the Hawthorns next door, our families had a long-standing marriage agreement. The bride was supposed to have been Luna. Now it was me. None of the 4 of them were happy about it. Funny, neither was I. Every time I saw the 3 brothers grinning like idiots around Luna, I wondered if fate was plotting the downfall of the Hawthorn dynasty. How could anyone be so monumentally stupid? Case in point. The day after the dinner party, a DNA sample from Candy had been sent for testing. But the results weren't back yet. Still, they were already scrambling to pledge their allegiance to Luna. Who do you think Candy's father is? Well, you can roll me out, Julian, the second brother said. With absolute certainty. I'm allergic to country girls. I couldn't possibly touch Stella. It's not me, either. Arthur, the eldest and most serious, said, adjusting his glasses. I would rather become a monk than be with Stella. Wyatt, the youngest, chimed in. Don't look at me. I can't stand her. Marrying her and having a kid? You might as well just kill me now. It has to be a setup, Arthur concluded. Stella hired a child who looks like us, because she was afraid none of us would agree to the marriage. She's disgustingly desperate. Yeah, that must be it. What a bunch of idiots. Did they think they were so clever? They didn't even bother to lower their voices when they were bad-mouthing someone? Hopeless. I was sitting just inside the window, sharing a snack with Candy. They're saying such mean things about us, I whispered to her. How are you not sad? There's nothing to be sad about. Candy swung her little legs, perfectly calm. The time is almost here. What time? The time for Daddy to fall in love with Mommy. And how do you know? That little girl puffed out her chest with pride. Because I peeked at Daddy's diary. Of course. I was about to tell her that snooping in diaries was wrong, when Wyatt's voice cut through from outside. Anyway, I've had it with Stella. As soon as those test results come back, I'm going to make her pay. Sigh. Luna, who had been silent, let out a soft, delicate sigh. The 3 of them immediately swarmed her. What's wrong? Are you not feeling well, Luna? I was just thinking. Even if the child is an actress, you can't escape the arranged marriage. The brothers fell silent. Arthur was the first to speak. I won't agree to it. I'm going to marry you, Luna. Get lost. Luna wants to marry me, right? Wyatt shot back. What are you 2 talking about? It's obviously me, Julian interjected. Please don't fight, Luna said, cutting them off. My sister gets to choose first. It doesn't matter what any of you want. But Luna, are you really okay with that? She lowered her eyes, her voice thick with martyrdom. Stella is the real daughter of this family. I stole her place for all these years. It's only right that she gets to choose first. Wow. I had to admit, I loved her attitude, even if it was a complete act. The words were music to my ears. My little sister was being so magnanimous. It would be a shame to let her good intentions go to waste. I stood up and tapped on the window. Sorry to interrupt, Luna. But did you mean what you just said? Why? It glared at me. Were you eavesdropping? I was. What are you going to do about it? He, of course, could do nothing but glare. I turned back to Luna. You were serious just now, weren't you? Luna nodded. Of course. I feel terrible for taking your place. Your family. So now, whatever you want, sister. I'm willing to give it to you. That's wonderful. I pointed a finger at the three clueless brothers. They are all currently my potential fiancés. Until my marriage is settled. Please have some self-respect and stay away from them. Stella, are you crazy? Are you out of your mind? Luna's eyes widened in disbelief. But we grew up together. We're very close. Oh. So we were playing the innocent card. Two could play at that game. I was about to counter with my own brand of saccharine manipulation, when Candy spoke up from beside me. You just promised to let my mommy have whatever she wants. Were you lying to us? The little girl's eyes were wide and round, pure and innocent. She then turned to the three brothers. Daddy taught Candy that lying is bad. Right, Daddy? Who's your dad? Why? It finally snapped. He had the shortest fuse of the three. Stella, don't push it. I've been putting up with you for Luna's sake. But this is too much. Apologize to her right now. Or else. Wait. I remember now. Candy's eyes lit up. Daddy talks a lot. Is it you? Wyatt's face turned beet red. And he was rendered completely speechless. Just then, the butler came running out looking flustered. The DNA results are in the child. She is the young Mrs. Daughter. And she is a Hawthorn. Every head snapped in his direction, waiting for him to continue. But the child's biological father is. The butler paused as if the words were difficult to say. All three of you are her biological father. The silence that followed the butler's announcement was so heavy it felt like it might collapse the roof. Arthur's hand, usually steady as a surgeon's, began to tremor. Julian looked like he'd been struck by lightning, and Wyatt's mouth was open so wide a fly could have moved in and raised a family. Explain yourself, Henderson, Arthur said, his voice dropping to a dangerous, low octave. What do you mean all three? The butler, a man who had survived 3 decades of Hawthorn family scandals, wiped sweat from his brow. Sir, the report, it says the match is 99.99% for all three of you. The technician called it a statistical impossibility, but then reminded me, you are monozygotic triplets. Your DNA profiles are virtually indistinguishable. Unless they do a deep sequencing epigenetic scan, which takes months, the test cannot tell you apart. You are, for all intents and purposes, a single genetic entity. Candy let out a little giggle. She was currently eating a piece of Stella's homemade jerky, looking completely unbothered. I told you. Candy gets confused when you stand together. I leaned back against the window frame, crossing my arms over my chest. The ranch had taught me one thing: when a bull is charging, you don't run, you find a fence. And right now, the Hawthorn brothers were the bulls, and they were charging straight into a wall of their own making. So, I said, my voice cutting through their panic. According to science, you're all the father. Does this mean I get 3 child support checks, or do you guys want to do a rotating weekend schedule? This isn't funny, Stella. Wyatt barked, his face turning a shade of purple that matched his tie. This kid is a freak of nature. There's no such thing as time travel. Then explain the face, Wyatt, I pointed at Candy. Explain the fact that she knows Luna puts oyster sauce in my food. Explain why she has the Hawthorn family crest tattooed on her ankle. They all looked. On Candy's small left ankle was a tiny, faint birthmark, not a tattoo, in the exact shape of the Hawthorn family's distinctive eagle wing mark. It was a genetic trait that only appeared once every 3 generations. Arthur had it on his shoulder. Julian had it on his hip. Arthur turned his gaze to me. For the first time, the coldness in his eyes was replaced by a flicker of something else. Uncertainty? Fear? Or perhaps the first inkling of a crushing realization. If she is from the future, Arthur whispered, it means one of us, eventually becomes a puppy, I finished for him, smirking. Luna, realizing the spotlight had shifted entirely away from her, let out a soft, choked sob. It was her signature move, the sound of a wilting flower. Usually, the triplets would have been on her in a heartbeat, offering silk handkerchiefs and blood oaths of vengeance. But today, they were distracted. I think I need to lay down, Luna whispered, swaying slightly. All this talk of the future, it's making my head spin. Julian moved instinctively toward her, but he stopped halfway. He looked at Candy, then at me, then back at Luna. The country girl allergy he'd bragged about seemed to be experiencing a flare-up of common sense. Go on, Julian, I said, waving a hand. Your princess needs her knight. Or her court jester. Whichever one you're playing today. Julian scowled, but the bite was gone. Stella, don't be cruel. Luna is sensitive. Mommy isn't being cruel, Candy interjected, hopping down from the chair. She walked over to Julian and tugged on his hand. Daddy Julian, you shouldn't go to her. In the future, Auntie Luna tried to sell Mommy's ranch to build a shopping mall. You were the one who stopped her, remember? You said Auntie Luna was a poisonous snake in lace. Julian's hand snapped back as if he'd touched a hot stove. Luna's face went from pale to ghostly. I would never. Luna cried. Stella, you know how much I love the ranch. I've never even been there, but I love the idea of it. Right. You love the idea of it being liquid assets, I said. My father, Robert Shaw, who had been remarkably quiet, finally cleared his throat. Enough. DNA doesn't lie, even if it's complicated by triplets. For now, Candy stays here. Stella, you'll look after her. Hawthorns, go home. Figure out which one of you is the father, or figure out how to be a team. But the marriage agreement stands. One of you will marry Stella. The Shaw and Hawthorn alliance is non-negotiable. The brothers left in a daze. As Wyatt passed me, he didn't draw his finger across his throat this time. He just stared at Candy with a look of utter bewilderment. A week passed. To my surprise, the Hawthorns didn't stay away. In fact, they became a permanent fixture on our doorstep. First, it was Wyatt. He showed up with a box of the most expensive chocolates I'd ever seen. For the kid, he muttered, thrusting them at me. I did some research. Kids like sugar. You did research, or you asked your secretary? I asked, leaning against the door. Wyatt looked away. I did it. And I brought these for you, too. He pulled out a pair of high-end leather riding gloves. I noticed yours were frayed at the dinner. I looked at the gloves. They were perfect. What's the angle, Wyatt? Trying to bribe the judge? Candy said I talked too much, he said quietly. She said in the future, I stopped talking because I was too busy listening to you. I wanted to see if she was right. Then came Julian. He didn't bring gifts. He brought a surveyor's map. I checked the zoning laws for your ranch out west, he said, stepping into the kitchen as if he owned it. Luna did file an inquiry about commercial development 6 months ago. She used a shell company. I felt a cold prickle of rage. She really did it? She did, Julian said, his voice unusually somber. I cancelled the inquiry. And I told her she's no longer welcome at the Hawthorn Club. I don't like being played, Stella. And I don't like people who hurt family. Even if that family doesn't exist yet. But the most surprising was Arthur. He came at night, when Candy was asleep. I was sitting on the porch, staring at the stars, feeling the familiar ache of wanting to be back on the open range. She's asleep? Arthur asked, standing at the bottom of the steps. Like a light, I said. She's a Hawthorn. She snores. Arthur let out a soft, rare chuckle. He walked up and sat on the step below me. He took a small, leather-bound book from his pocket. Is that the diary? I asked, my heart skipping a beat. The one she said she peeked at? This is my current diary, Arthur said. I've kept one since I was 10. It's how I process things I can't say out loud. I looked back at the entries from the last 3 months. Since you arrived. And? Arthur opened the book to a recent page. I wrote that you were unrefined, stubborn, and a threat to the order of my life. But 2 days ago, I wrote something else. He handed me the book. In his precise, elegant script, it said, she is the only person who has ever looked at me and seen a man, not a Hawthorn. I am terrified that the child is right. I am terrified that I am already her puppy. I looked at Arthur. The moon reflected in his eyes. He wasn't the arrogant CEO right now. He was the man Candy described, the one who would follow me to the ends of the earth. Which one of us is it, Stella? Arthur asked, his voice a whisper. Which one of us do you want it to be? Luna wasn't going down without a fight. She was a parasite, and a parasite needs a host to survive. If she couldn't have the Hawthorns, she would destroy the only thing that made me relevant. The DNA test. She hired a private investigator to dig into Candy's arrival. And she found something. Or rather, she made something. A month after the dinner, a second gala was held to celebrate the Hawthorn alliance. It was supposed to be the night I chose my groom. In the middle of the party, Luna stepped onto the stage. She looked radiant, but her eyes were manic. I have an announcement, she cried. My sister, Stella, has played us all. This child, Candy, she isn't from the future. She's a product of a secret fertility clinic out west. Stella used a stolen sample from the Hawthorn brothers years ago, before she even arrived here. She's been planning this grift for years. The room erupted. My father looked at me with dawning horror. The Hawthorn brothers froze. Luna held up a folder. I have the receipts. The clinic, the payment, the forged timeline. Stella isn't the victim, she's a master manipulator. I felt the world tilting. It was a lie, a beautiful, calculated lie. Luna had used her connections to forge a paper trail that looked more realistic than time travel. In the eyes of the law and society, I was now a criminal. Stella, my father whispered. Is this true? No, I said, but my voice was drowned out by the crowd. Wyatt stepped forward, his face dark. I knew it. I knew it was too weird. Julian backed away, his face full of disappointment. But Arthur. Arthur stayed where he was. He looked at Luna, then at the folder, then at me. Mommy? Candy's voice came from the side of the stage. She looked scared. Why is Auntie Luna saying those things? The accident, it's happening early. What accident, Candy? I asked, rushing to her. The one where Mommy leaves, Candy sobbed. The one where you get so sad you go back to the ranch and never come back. That's why I came here. To stop you from leaving. Suddenly, the lights in the ballroom flickered and died. A strange, high-pitched hum filled the air, the same one I'd heard the night Candy appeared. When the emergency lights kicked on, the stage was empty. Luna was gone. Candy was gone. And in the center of the stage, a single object remained. Arthur's diary. But it wasn't the one he'd shown me. This one was old, weathered, and the dates inside started from next year. The diary from the future provided the truth that no lawyer could. It wasn't a record of a grift. It was a record of a tragedy. It detailed how Luna had successfully framed Stella, how Stella had fled back to the ranch, and how a week later, a freak storm had caused a mudslide that took Stella's life. It detailed the brothers' grief, how Wyatt had become a recluse, how Julian had spent his fortune trying to buy back her land, and how Arthur had spent 8 years working on a way to send their daughter back to change it. The brothers sat in my father's study, reading the future words of their own broken hearts. I'm the one, Arthur said, his voice cracking. He was reading a page from 5 years in the future. Today, Stella and I took Candy to the ranch for the first time. She has her mother's laugh. I am the luckiest man alive, and I still don't know why she chose a puppy like me. No, Wyatt said, pointing to another entry. Look here. This one is my handwriting. Stella told me today that my temper is the only thing that keeps her warm. I think I finally learned to listen. It's all of us, Julian realized, flipping through the pages. The diary, the entries, they change. They're fluid. The father isn't set in stone. It depends on who Stella chooses now. They all looked at me. I was standing by the window, watching the rain. Candy was gone, returned to her own timeline, or perhaps she had vanished because the future had already been altered. I don't want a puppy, I said, turning to face them. And I don't want a knight or a surveyor. I walked up to the three of them. The future is a mess. Luna is in hiding, my family is a wreck, and you three are still a bunch of arrogant idiots. I looked at Arthur. But you're an idiot who kept a diary for 8 years to save me. I looked at Julian. And you're an idiot who found the truth about the ranch. I looked at Wyatt. And you're an idiot who bought me gloves. I took a deep breath. I'm going back to the ranch. Tomorrow. Not because I'm running away, but because that's where my life is. If you want to be a part of it, you don't send flowers. You don't send maps. You show up and you work the land. Epilogue, 8 years later. The sun was setting over the western range, painting the sky in streaks of gold and violet. A little girl with sharp Hawthorn eyes and a sharp jawline was running through the tall grass, chasing a border collie. Candy. Dinner's ready. I called out from the porch of the ranch house. I felt a pair of arms wrap around my waist from behind. I leaned back into the familiar warmth. She's getting fast, a voice whispered in my ear. I turned around, smiling at my husband. His suit was gone, replaced by worn denim and a flannel shirt. His hands were calloused, and there was a smear of dirt on his cheek. You did good today, Arthur, I said, reaching up to wipe the dirt away. I had a good teacher, he said, kissing my forehead. Down by the barn, 2 other men were finishing the evening chores. Julian was arguing with Wyatt about the best way to mend a fence, their voices carrying over the wind. They weren't my husbands, but they were my family, the uncles who had moved their entire lives out west to be near the only woman who ever told them no. Luna was a distant memory, a name in a police file for fraud and embezzlement. As for Candy, she didn't remember being a time traveler. She just knew she had the 3 best daddies in the world and a mother who could outride any man in the state. I looked at the eagle wing birthmark on her ankle as she ran past, then up at the stars. The future wasn't written in a diary anymore. We were writing it ourselves, one day at a time, in the dirt and the sun of the ranch. And for the first time I didn't mind being the lucky bride. The end.